More questions, Commissioner Ben-Veniste.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Following up on this shoot-down authority, General Arnold, from what source did you receive the shoot-down authority?
I did not receive a shoot-down authority.
You say it was received subsequent to the crash of '93?
Oh, yes, that's correct.
From what source was that
It was
received?
passed down to us from the NORAD, from Cheyenne Mountain, that they had received shoot-down authority. And then, the time frame escapes me at the moment, but, for example, over the Washington, D.C. area, it was declared a no-fly zone. And just by the fact that any aircraft was present, if we could not determine that that aircraft was friendly, then we were cleared to shoot that aircraft down.
When was the declaration of no-fly zone authorized?
I don't know. It was shortly during that time frame.
So are you saying that that declaration gave you shoot-down authority?
No.
Irrespective?
It gave us, that particular declaration that I am referring to as a Class Bravo airspace within the Washington, D.C. area was shut down to aviation, except for military or for law enforcement emergency response aircraft at that particular time.
To help me understand, does it mean once that condition exists, that unless you were able to determine that this was a friendly aircraft, which under the circumstances, I suppose, means under the control of the terrorists at that time, making it unfriendly aircraft, that you had authority by
true,
whatever means to bring that down?
Yes.
At what time during this process was that order issued, and who issued it?
I do not know who issued it. It's my understanding it was issued by the President or the Vice President in his stead, that order was issued. And it was issued around the time that we decided to put all the aircraft on the ground, as Mr. Mineta, Secretary Mineta had referred to at that particular time. So
we would ask you to supplement your testimony today with specific information about that. At what point was, to the best of your knowledge, any order received from either the President or the Vice President of the United States with respect to action to be taken by the military in connection with the ongoing situation?
it was my understanding that that occurred, the direct communication, to me. I can't answer if it was done at a higher level at some point in time around 5 minutes after the United 93 had crashed into Pennsylvania.
And so you would be able to check the records of NORAD generally or the DOD generally to find out when a presidential directive was issued?
I'm sure General McKinley will do that for me.
Thank you. And if I understand the context of what you've said about closing the perimeter around Washington, the President's directive or the Vice President's directive would have been moot because of the prior order which would have enabled you to shoot down an unfriendly plane in that sector.
Well, you know, we developed a certain, I guess the short answer again is correct, but it's very specifically in the Washington, D.C. area by presence, that aircraft was hostile unless we could determine that it was friendly.
Let me go to the issue again to revisit Flight 77, because as we understand it, tragically, it appears that that was the only plane which reached its intended target, which might have been interdicted that day if everything had gone right. Are you in agreement with that?
I think, you know, from a physics perspective, yes, that's correct.
Well, let's go beyond physics for a moment, and let me ask you about the planes which were scrambled from Andrews Air Force Base. No, from Andrews Air Force Base by the Secret Service of the United States. Who gave the order to scramble jets, F-16s also, I believe, out of Andrews?
My understanding that the FAA, that the Secret Service requested that they launch anything they could to get them airborne.
Of whom did they make that request?
I'm not sure if it's General Worley, Dave Worley himself. General Worley's a wing commander, General Dave Worley, and I think they actually talked to him. And I did not know this at the time, of course, but just they called him up and said, what do you have that you can get airborne? He had some airplanes returning from the range on training mission.
What would be the flight time from Andrews Air Force Base of two F-16s to the Pentagon?
From the time they were notified?
Yes.
Probably 15 to 20 minutes, because it takes about 10 minutes to get airborne, and they're not set up on alert or scrambled. In fact, it could have taken, didn't have any airplanes immediately ready to go, it could have taken them 20, 30 minutes.
And under the
We already
circumstances...
had airplanes airborne. By the time those airplanes were airborne, we had airplanes over Washington, D.C.
Right. Now, if the order had been given to Andrews even simultaneously with the order that you gave to scramble your planes, is it not fair to say that those planes would have reached the Pentagon sooner?
They might have, but they would have been unarmed.
Sir, yes,
Right.
that would be my comment, sir, is those aircraft are not prepped or built up for that mission.
And in fact, we have received reports that are almost incredible in terms of the bravery of the two pilots who went up that day in unarmed aircraft with the mission, I presume, authorized somewhere in the executive to use their airplanes to bring down Flight 77 or 93 if they could interdict them. That means to clip their wings, crash into them, perhaps the pilots at the risk of their own lives. Is that correct?
Sir, as I evacuated the Pentagon that morning, as I came out the river entrance and looked up, virtually simultaneously, those F-16s coming back from the range had been airborne, had dropped their weapons, were returning low on fuel, were visible to 10 to 15,000 people, and it was a very heartening sight to see United States Air Force fighters overhead the Pentagon. And it is my understanding from the review of the records that that was their guidance.
And who provided that guidance to them? Was that a decision made internally by Secret Service, or did Secret Service require a higher executive order in order to launch those planes on that mission?
I do not know that.
I'm unaware of the answer to that, sir.
Chairman, thank you very much, gentlemen.